When my wife, Sarah, left, she left a trail of destruction. At the time, I couldn't grasp the depth of her betrayal. We had been together for 7 years, and I believed we were happy. However, life has a way of shattering illusions, and I was about to embark on a painful journey of self-discovery and, ultimately, revenge. It began with a series of late nights. Sarah claimed she was working overtime to meet deadlines. I trusted her completely, never questioning her motives. She was always a dedicated worker, and I admired her for it. Our life appeared perfect on the surface, but cracks were forming beneath the facade. I was oblivious, but those long hours weren't solely about work. Initially, I attributed it to her dedication, but subtle changes in her behavior emerged. She became distant, her laughter hollow, her gaze drifting when we were together. The intimacy we once shared faded as she became absorbed in her own world. I dismissed these feelings, telling myself I was paranoid. Nothing substantial had changed. She still came home, still talked about her day, albeit distantly. But deep down, I sensed something was amiss. I became suspicious, questioning my instincts. Was I being unreasonable? Overthinking? My mind spiraled, unable to shake the feeling of unease. One night, I decided to surprise her at work with dinner. My intentions were pure, to show her I cared and appreciated her hard work, to rekindle our connection. Arriving at her office, I saw her leaving with a man I didn't recognize. They laughed, their bodies close. His hand on her back felt too intimate. My heart sank as the world blurred. I watched them walk to a car, share a lingering glance, and then the door closed between them. Everything I believed in shattered. I didn't confront her that night. I went home, waiting, the uncertainty gnawing at me. When she returned, she smelled of an unfamiliar cologne, strong, unmistakable. My heart pounded as I asked about her evening. She lied effortlessly, claiming she'd been in meetings. She sounded convincing, but I knew better. My trust crumbled, and with it, any remaining peace. I wasn't ready to accuse her outright. The woman I loved couldn't be capable of this, could she? So I waited, watched, becoming a shadow of my former self. Every moment felt like a ticking time bomb, driving me deeper into paranoia. My mind raced, replaying the scene, searching for missed signs, ignored clues. Over the following weeks, I changed. I checked her phone, but she meticulously deleted messages and calls, covering her tracks. Her behavior confirmed my fears. Each day felt like another layer of deception. One day while she showered, I found an email account she used to communicate with someone named Mark. Their exchanges left no doubt she was having an affair. They used a private code referencing late-night meetings and secret rendezvous. The words were daggers to my heart. How had I been so blind? Our life, our love, had all been a lie. Confronting her was agonizing. I never imagined hearing such words from the woman I loved. When presented with the evidence, she didn't deny it. Instead, she said with defiance, "I haven't been happy for a long time." Her words hit me like a sledgehammer. How could she be unhappy when I'd done everything for her happiness? How could she betray me so completely? Her admission was the final blow. Sarah moved out shortly after. The divorce was swift. She seemed eager to start her new life with Mark. I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered heart and pride. Anger overwhelmed me, but I didn't know what to do with it. Friends and family offered support, but I felt utterly alone. They couldn't understand the depth of my betrayal, the sense of it gnawing at my soul. Sleepless nights were filled with thoughts of what I could have done differently. I spiraled into depression, losing weight, withdrawing from the world, spending nights in tears. During one such night, my friend Daniel gave me a much-needed wake-up call. "You're letting her win," he said bluntly. "She's out there living her life, and you're drowning in misery. Get up and fight back." His words resonated. I realized I was giving Sarah power over my life, even after she'd left. Consumed by the pain, I'd allowed it to define me. But I was stronger than that. I had to regain control. I focused on myself: gym, healthy eating, therapy. Slowly, I began feeling like myself again. I enrolled in a business course I'd postponed, discovering a passion for entrepreneurship. Building something from scratch, something entirely mine, became my new focus. I poured my energy into learning, growing, and redefining myself without Sarah. But the deeper I delved into personal growth, the more I realized I couldn't let Sarah get away with it, not just for me, but for the man I had become. I had lived for her for so long. Now, I had to live for myself. I needed to prove I could move on, build a life without her, make her regret leaving. In this transformation, I found my true strength. I went from broken to ready to rebuild on my terms. I wasn't just going to heal, I was going to thrive. Every workout, every class, every business decision was a step towards becoming the man I was meant to be. And as I did, the thought of revenge took shape. Not about hurting her, but about showing her I could move on and build a life without her. Showing Sarah I was stronger than she thought. 2 years passed. My venture took off faster than expected. I went from a man lost in the dark to one thriving, building a business that provided not only financial security, but also purpose. I regained confidence, not just in my entrepreneurial abilities, but in myself. I felt proud of the man I was becoming. It wasn't easy. There were days when the past tried to drag me down, moments of self-doubt. But with each success, I grew stronger. My friends noticed the change. "You look happier than I've ever seen you," they'd say. And for the first time in years, I believed them. I felt grounded. But life throws curveballs. Just as I felt invincible, Sarah reappeared. It started with an email. "Hi. How have you been?" I initially thought it a mistake. Why would she reach out after everything? Curiosity won. I clicked, reread, and, after deliberation, replied politely but distantly. The ensuing messages were a series of revelations. Sarah wasn't the woman who left me heartbroken. She seemed lost, broken, humbled. She told me about Mark, the man she left me for, who, it turned out, had cheated on her. She described her devastation, how he'd torn apart their life, her humiliation. I felt a strange satisfaction, validation. But there was also a desire for closure, for something more than her ghost haunting me. I wasn't seeking reconciliation, but I couldn't ignore the possibility of healing and taking control, setting the record straight, getting closure, and perhaps delivering a bit of poetic justice. I agreed to meet for coffee. Seeing her again was like stepping back into a buried past. Her eyes widened with what I interpreted as regret. She noticed the changes in me, my growth, confidence, posture. She commented on my appearance, happiness, success, with a hint of admiration. It was almost as if she wanted back in. I played along, feigning interest in rekindling things. I was aware of her vulnerability, her desire for a fresh start. She spoke of her struggles, how hard the past years had been, how much she missed our life. She expressed regrets, apologies, as if I could forgive and forget. I listened, feigning sympathy, but remembering the pain, broken promises, lies, and hurt. I maintained emotional distance, refusing to slip back into old habits, refusing to let her back in without her fully understanding the damage she'd caused. Weeks passed, our meetings becoming more frequent. Each time, I let her believe there might be a chance. It was like a game where I held all the cards. As she opened up about her pain and regrets, I listened, but knew this was about more than just Sarah. It was about me, my chance to close the chapter, end the toxic cycle of self-doubt and hurt. Then came the reckoning. I'd planned it for weeks, crafting the letter that would be my final word. I wasn't interested in revenge, but Sarah needed to understand the full impact of her actions. During a meeting, I handed her the letter. Neatly typed, every word carefully chosen. It detailed my post-divorce struggles, how I'd rebuilt my life, how the pain almost broke me. But it also showcased the man I'd become, stronger despite everything. I ended with a message more powerful than anything I could say face to face. "I'm grateful for the lessons you taught me, but I've moved on. I hope you find the strength to do the same." Her reaction was immediate. Her face crumbled as she read. The woman who'd torn my heart apart was now falling apart. She tried to argue, convince me we could start over, but I stood firm, resolute. Walking away felt like shedding the last remnants of her inflicted pain. I'd finally closed the door. I'd taken control of my story. Today, I'm in a much better place. I understand forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means not letting the past control your present. Sarah's betrayal was painful, but also a catalyst for growth. It taught me resilience, strength, the importance of supportive relationships. I found love again, with someone who values me. We're building a life filled with trust, support, and mutual respect. It's everything I'd hoped for, everything I thought I'd lost. And for the first time in a long time, I know I deserve it. As for Sarah, I hear she's still struggling. Part of me feels sorry for her, but another part understands she's facing the consequences of her choices. Life has a way of balancing the scales, and I'm proof that no matter how dark the moments, you can rise above them. I've learned that with perseverance, self-respect, and support, you can emerge stronger, more fulfilled, and more confident than you ever imagined. And as for Sarah, she no longer holds power over my life. That power lies with me, where it belongs.